Hey everybody, Dr. Osborne here with a research update and review. Many of you may be coming into the fall asking yourself the question, should I get a flu shot this year? So I wanted to give you some valuable information and data to help you be able to make that decision and feel good about it one way or the other. The first statistic that I'm going to put up here on the screen, I'm going to show you is the actual flu data for this past year from 2018 to 2019. This is the data that was put out by the CDC. So again, this is not me telling you effectiveness. This is actually from the Center for Disease Control's website. So if you look at the slide, we've got on the left-hand side, we've got the age of the individual, and on the right-hand side, we've got the percentage of the effectiveness. VE in this slide stands for vaccine effectiveness. So you can see that children from the ages of 6 months to 8 years, the flu shot was only effective 24% of the time. Now, from 9 to 17 years of age, only effective 13% of the time. And as you go down the list, 18 to 49, 32% effectiveness, 50 to 64, only 18% effectiveness, and 65 years plus, the flu vaccine effectiveness was only at 13%. So that's actual data collected by the CDC. So if you're trying to weigh the risk versus the benefit of getting your flu shot this year, this is definitely data that you want to take into consideration. Now, the next slide that I'm going to show you is the vaccine effectiveness over a number of years. So I'm going to go ahead and switch to that slide and show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so what you're looking at here is an overall seasonal flu vaccine effectiveness from the year 2004-05 all the way up to current. And so you can see that the effectiveness is widely variable from year to year. And you can see the most effective was in 2010 to 11, it was 60% effective, but all other years 50% or less effective, most years much less than 50%. So is it that important that you get a flu shot, considering that it's arguably, if we're rolling the dice, not gonna be effective at working for you, when the ingredients of the common flu vaccine can include things like mercury and polysorbate, which is a chemical preservative. Some of the other ingredients in the flu shot, for some of you that might be a risk, are egg-based ingredients. Egg is one of the top 8 allergens in the United States. So you've got to ask yourself the question, risk versus benefit. Is it worth the risk of injecting yourself with potentially harmful chemicals, especially knowing that the flu shot can cause Guillain-Barré syndrome and something called ASIA, autoimmune inflammatory syndrome induced by adjuvants, ASIA? Is that 20% or 30% or 40% effectiveness worth the risk of subjecting yourself to those artificial adjuvant ingredients that could have potential health implications? You make the call. It's your body. That's the way I feel about it. Now, I want to give you an alternative as well, because some of you may say, okay, this is not worth it for me. The risk is definitely not somewhere that I want to go. So what can I do instead? Are there options to boost my immune system versus, say, getting a flu shot? So I'm going to show you some more research on some of the best options that you have for natural immune protection. Okay, what you're looking at here is a study that was published just a couple of years ago. You can see here, and I'm paraphrasing from the study, vitamin D triggers effective antimicrobial pathways against bacterial, fungal, and viral pathogens in cells of the human innate immune system. Clinically, vitamin D deficiency has been associated with an increased risk for various infectious diseases in epidemiological studies. What does all that mean? That means that low levels of vitamin D increase your risk for developing the flu and other types of diseases that are triggered by infectious microorganisms. So vitamin D playing a very, very important role in your immune system function. Now, let's talk about how the flu season comes and goes. The flu season actually coincides with the moving away from summer, where we get less sunshine, where we have less UV light exposure. So there's some researchers and some scientists that believe that the flu season correlates directly with the reduction in sunlight hours leading to a vitamin D deficiency. Now, although there are many other factors involved in regulating your immune function and the power of your immune system, this is a very, very major one, because it doesn't matter what hemisphere of the world you're in. If you're in Australia, your summer is my winter. And so in that regard, your flu season is not at the same time of the year as our flu season here in the United States. It coincides with your fall and winter months. So that being said, coming back to this vitamin D correlation and your exposure to UV light, very important. Now, couple that with the advice that many people get from their dermatologist, which is avoid the sunshine. Look, in the U.S., vitamin D deficiency is epidemic, but so is flu. So we get a lot of people that develop the flu. Are they developing the flu as a result of not getting adequate vitamin D because the advice from their other doctors has been to avoid the sunshine altogether, so that when winter does come, they're already deficient in vitamin D and that just plummets even further? I'll let you draw the lines and make that conclusion. Now, I want to show you some more research published from the journal Epidemiology and Infection. Now, I'm paraphrasing again. In 1981, Edgar Hope Simpson proposed a seasonal stimulus was intimately associated with solar radiation, explained the remarkable seasonality of the epidemic influenza, meaning that basically less sunshine, more epidemic influenza developed in populations. So solar radiation triggers robust seasonal vitamin D production in the skin, and if you're avoiding that sunshine, you're actually putting your immune system at risk for the potential to develop influenza. Further paraphrasing, ultraviolet radiation, either from artificial sources or from sunlight, reduces the incidence of viral respiratory infections, as does cod liver oil, which contains high levels of vitamin D. An interventional study showed that vitamin D reduces the incidence of respiratory infections in children. So, all that being said, if you're avoiding the sun, now you're coming into winter, you're already vitamin D deficient, and influenza season begins. Is that happening as a result of vitamin D deficiency? Is there something vitamin D is necessary for in order to regulate and stimulate the aspects of your immune system that protects you? The simple answer is yes. Research confirms that vitamin D plays a major role in immunoregulation, meaning it helps your immune system attack what it's supposed to and do a good job when it's supposed to. So, my favorite natural alternative to a flu shot is actually high-dose vitamin D therapy. Now, anybody can do this therapy relatively safely unless you have kidney damage or kidney disease. If you have kidney disease or kidney damage, ignore what I'm about to say and get with your doctor before attempting any type of major vitamin D supplementation. If you don't, if you have healthy functioning kidneys and you're looking for a natural alternative, you can take vitamin D in higher doses. Now, if you think about this, what is the adequate dose? It's about 1,000 international units of vitamin D per pound of body weight. So if you're 150 pounds, you would take 150,000 units of vitamin D for 3 days only. Now, do this before cold and flu season to boost your vitamin D levels to ensure that as flu season comes in or is coming into play, that your levels of D are already elevated so that you're not waiting till you get sick. Now, some people wait till they get sick and then do this therapy. Look, my experience in those situations is if you see the cold or flu coming on at the first sign and you take high doses of vitamin D, usually it also has a favorable impact, at least again in my clinical experience. So, one of the most effective natural agents you can use is vitamin D. If you want to add a couple more to the list, vitamin C, also very effective for adults. 5-gram doses are very effective. And also vitamin A. Vitamin A also very important for immunoregulation. So, hopefully that helps you decide whether or not the flu shot's right for you this year or not, and what you can do to basically avoid it if that's your decision, but also what you can do naturally if you are avoiding it. And I'm going to put some links down below this video. So if you're looking for vitamin D as a natural alternative, I'm going to put that link down below you where you can find that, a gluten-free version of high-potency vitamin D that you can trust. This is Dr. Osborne, wishing you excellent health.